The girl had gone to America to study, but her boyfriend dumped her. No matter how much she begged, the guy didn't even look back. After her heart was shattered, the girl had lost all hope until the next day when she found out she was pregnant. Faced with this sudden new life, she panicked. She thought that maybe having the baby would make her boyfriend come back. But when she went to see him, she found him marrying someone else. Seeing that, her blood boiled. Her eyes almost popped out. He'd just broken up with her yesterday, and today he was marrying someone else. In that moment, she decided she wouldn't back down from this relationship, and she would have the baby in secret. That's how, a year later, Crim, only 20 years old, became a single mom. To raise her child, she had to drop out of her studies in America and return to Korea. Until now, her parents had no idea their daughter had given birth. To them, their daughter was still the apple of their eye, and even during an interview, they were singing her praises. Right then, Crim was on a flight to Korea with her 1-year-old daughter. But for a 20-year-old, handling such a young child on a flight wasn't easy. The baby woke up and started screaming. The crying annoyed the nearby passengers. Crim, flustered, tried to quiet the baby. She checked and realized the diaper needed changing. Just then, lunch service began on the flight. A sudden smell made the woman next to her scrunch up her nose. Crim felt awkward. Then a bespectacled lady took the baby so she could remove the diaper. But the woman next to her said to take the baby to the bathroom because the smell was ruining everyone's appetite. Are you even fit to be called a mother? It's people like you that give Koreans a bad name abroad. Hearing that, Crim saw red. But before she could respond, the bespectacled lady cut in. She said, "How is such a little baby supposed to express her discomfort? Crying is her only way. If she were a mother herself, she wouldn't be so harsh." Hearing the bespectacled lady's words, an argument broke out between the two women. Neither was willing to back down. The bickering escalated so much it looked like they might come to blows. Crim apologized, picked up her baby, and rushed toward the bathroom, which cooled things down. A little later, the baby started crying again from hunger. There was no breast milk, so Crim asked a flight attendant for formula. Luckily, fresh milk was available on the flight. Seeing the bottle, Crim felt immense relief. She hurried back to her seat, but the flight hit turbulence. Suddenly, the bottle slipped from her hand and landed right on a passenger's pants. The man thought some strange woman was harassing him. Embarrassed, Crim tried to wipe his pants clean, but then realized that wasn't appropriate. She apologized and offered to pay for the pants, but the man wasn't having it. He said he'd file an assault case against her. This wasn't just about the pants. Crim was worried about her baby, so she told him to go ahead and file the case if he wanted, but she had her own business to handle first. After a full day of travel, Crim and her daughter finally arrived in Korea. This time, she was here to enter a major company's design competition with her portfolio. But leaving the airport, she ran into trouble again. Staff saw her large suitcase and called her to the inspection office. Crim was stressed when that same bespectacled lady happened to pass by. Understanding the situation, she offered to watch the baby. Crim hesitated, then handed her daughter over and went with the staff to the inspection room. There, the staff saw white powder in the suitcase and demanded it be tested. Crim explained it was baby formula, but the staff didn't listen without testing. They said, "If it's milk, why is it in a box like this? Only testing will tell." After testing, it turned out to be a misunderstanding. Crim was already half an hour late and frantic. Her baby was with a stranger. She angrily said to the staff, "Who does this much testing over some milk powder?" and stormed off. But when she got back, neither the lady nor her daughter was there. She asked the staff, but no one had seen the lady. In that moment, her breath caught. She frantically searched the entire airport for her baby. Just as she was blaming herself for her daughter going missing, an airport announcement came over the speaker. A lost child had been found and needed to be picked up. Crim saw a glimmer of hope. She sprinted to the front desk. There, staff told her a kind-hearted man had taken her daughter to the police station and they gave her a card. It turned out that the old lady had lost her own suitcase at the airport. While searching for her belongings, she lost the baby. Ultimately, Crim's daughter was picked up by a man as she wandered out of the airport, and that man was the same person Crim had clashed with on the flight. Since the child's mother couldn't be found, the man took her to the police station. When Crim looked at the card, her heart sank. She realized the man who took her daughter was the very person whose company she was about to enter a competition for. Crim's heart began to race. The company would select her thinking she was a student. If they found out she had a child, she might be disqualified. disqualified. But for her daughter's sake, she had to gather her courage and go to the police station. At the police station, Dongjun, the man, recognized Surim immediately. The child's mother was the same woman who spilled milk on him and touched his pants on the flight. So when he saw Surim, his surprise was obvious. When the woman tried to take the baby, he questioned her identity. Surim knew this man was her prospective boss. To save her job, she couldn't tell the truth about her child. Helplessly, she lied, saying she was just the baby's guardian, looking after a relative's child. Saying this, she quickly took the baby into her arms. But at that very moment, Surim's aunt, her mother's sister, also arrived at the police station and spotted her niece there. When Surim saw her aunt, she started her act. "The baby's been found, Aunt. I got her back. This is my aunt. It's actually her daughter. I was just babysitting for them." Hearing Surim's words, the aunt and uncle, her husband, were confused. But Surim's cousin, the aunt's son, who was also present, caught on and smoothed things over. He said from the heart that yes, this was his little sister, and they even looked alike. Hearing her cousin's words, Surim managed to hide the truth of being a single mother. She explained to her aunt that she had a part-time job, like an escort for young children on flights. She begged her aunt not to tell her parents she was back in Korea. To avoid any suspicion, Surim exchanged a few more words and hurried away. She rented a small room nearby and started living there with her daughter. Because she had applied for a major company's design competition, if she got selected, her and her baby's life would be set. Now there was just one problem. She had no one to look after the baby. Surim was already worrying about her interview when she remembered her design portfolio. While searching for her daughter, she had bumped into a staff luggage cart, and her portfolio was left behind at the airport. So Surim went back to the airport with her baby, but her package wasn't there. She had pinned all her hopes on that portfolio. She couldn't lose this interview opportunity, so she decided to buy materials from the wholesale market at the last minute and recreate her old work. To finish quickly, she left her daughter with her aunt for 2 days and went to the company herself to ask Dongjun for help so she could get a place to work. After all, her portfolio was lost because of this man, since he was the one who picked up her baby. Dongjun had already found out that Surim was a participant in the same fashion competition, so when he saw her asking him for help, he was a little surprised. But in the interest of fairness, Dongjun refused Surim's request. Losing the portfolio was her own fault. Surim couldn't lose this chance. She had come all this way with her baby just for this job. In that moment, Surim swallowed her pride and begged the man for one opportunity. She said she had prepared for this competition for a very long time, and she wanted to return home only after winning. She apologized for the incident on the flight and practically begged for a chance to work. "I really need this job. Please give me a chance. I'm begging you right here." Relenting, Dongjun took Surim to an old warehouse and gave her a space to work there. Surim was thrilled to have a place. Even though the boss told her to clean the entire warehouse first, she agreed happily. Meanwhile, the aunt had to drop her own son at tuition class, so she took the baby to her sister's, Surim's mother's, house, saying it was her friend's child. She mentioned this as she was leaving. Seeing this sudden little visitor, Surim's mother was instantly smitten. Surim's mom, "Oh my, honey, look, oh god, doesn't this little girl look just like our Surim when she was small? Did Surim look like this as a baby?" Hearing her sister's words, the aunt began to suspect. Was this child really her niece Surim's daughter? The aunt's anxiety grew, and right then Surim called, asking about the baby. The aunt told her the baby was with her parents. Hearing this, Surim's breath hitched. To save her sister from suspicion, the aunt took the baby back, and at the same time told Surim to come clean. If she didn't tell the truth, she would leave the baby with her parents. Surim understood she couldn't hide it anymore, so she began pleading with her aunt not to tell her mom and dad the truth, promising that she would tell them herself one day, just not now. She had to design and make new clothes in just one day. Working nonstop, she stayed up all night and fell asleep on the day of the competition. When Dongjun came looking for her, he woke her up. That's when Surim realized there were only 7 minutes left before the fashion show started. Dongjun saw her attitude and thought she was throwing away her chance. But Surim explained her work was done, she just needed to show it quickly. Then she suddenly remembered. She hadn't even called a model. Surim thought fast and made a plan to use Dongjun himself as the model. She grabbed the man's shirt and tried to pull it off, saying his height was perfect. Dongjun was not on board with this. When he pushed her away forcefully, the girl decided she would model the clothes herself and walk on stage. Right then and there, Surim started taking off her top. At this, Dongjun stopped her and told her to put her clothes back on. If she couldn't find a model, he would go on stage in her place. Dongjun said, "Let me try it on." "Really? Thank you. But hurry. turn around, but I want to see how you look in it. You want to watch? And so, under Surim's direction, Dongjun became a runway model. His confidence on stage was very attractive, and everyone praised Surim's design. Soon after, Surim won first place in the competition. But when the company chairman, called for the winner, no one came forward. The president told the staff to find the winner, but even after searching the whole office, Surim was nowhere to be found. Dongjun was furious. He had helped this girl so much, and she betrayed him like this. Actually, Surim didn't disappear without reason. She had suddenly found out her daughter was sick. Helplessly, she ran to the hospital. There, her aunt explained that the baby had swallowed some toy balls, and the doctor had to perform stomach pumping. Hearing this, Surim blamed her aunt. How could such a small child eat things like that? In a panic, she scolded her aunt. Upset by this, the aunt left. Now Surim had no one left to look after her baby. Because of this, she had to abandon her competition and stay by her daughter's side in the hospital. She had no idea her disappearance was making Dongjun's life difficult. The president, who was also Dongjun's father, was furious about the competition becoming a disgrace. He took his anger out on his son, saying it was his fault this happened. The winner had vanished from the company, and the media was making fun of the company. The president said if they didn't give the public a convincing reason right now, Dongjun would lose his CEO position. Han Surim, you made a fool out of me, didn't you? After the fight with her aunt, Surim had nowhere to stay, so she called Dongjun to ask for help, and also asked if she had won. But Dongjun's anger was through the roof. His father was already in the news headlines, and this humiliation was because of this woman. So he yelled at Surim to stop bothering him, and if she didn't want to get scolded, she should stay away. She wasn't welcome at Victory Company anymore. Saying this, he hung up. The scolding broke Surim's heart. Just as she was thinking where to go with her baby, her aunt called. Despite being angry yesterday, after a night of thinking, her aunt felt sorry for her niece. She thought since Surim needed to work, she should bring the baby to her. Because the aunt knew Surim had no support, and going to her parents' house was also difficult. Meanwhile, the president of Victory Company found out that the first prize winner, Han Surim, was the daughter of a high-ranking government official. Having ties with such a family would be beneficial for the company. Firing her would be a bad move. Surim, feeling guilty about yesterday's mistake, came to the company to apologize to Dongjun. But when Dongjun saw her, his anger flared again. He was about to yell at her when his father saw them and suddenly, very cheerfully, welcomed Surim. Not only did he shake her hand, but he also called her into the office and gave her a team leader position. Dongjun, who was hearing this from a distance, was about to pass out. Team leader? Absolutely not. President, gesturing towards Surim, say hello. This is Han Surim, the new team leader for our international fashion project. You will keep her with your team. Dongjun couldn't understand why his father was giving such an important position to such an irresponsible person. The president said Han Surim was a necessary talent for the company, no matter what mistakes she'd made before. Dongjun's pain increased when his father told him to assist the new team leader, and if he failed to do so, he would be fired from the company. From now on, she will work in your team. Behave well with her. Fine, understood. But the very next day, disaster struck. The aunt was deep in debt from a huge high-interest loan, and a bunch of thugs showed up at her house demanding money. When the aunt got the call, she tried to escape through the back door with her son. On the way out, she suddenly remembered. She'd forgotten to take the baby. Now she was in real trouble. The loan sharks were standing downstairs, and the aunt was too scared to go back for the baby. Helplessly, she told her niece, Surim, what happened and begged her to rush back and save her daughter. Surim grew frantic the moment she got the message. She ran out right in the middle of a meeting, leaving her boss, Dongjun, stunned. But when Surim got to the house, her daughter wasn't there. She thought the thugs had taken her. She asked the landlord and learned an auntie had taken the baby. Surim asked who the auntie was. The landlord said she was probably the older sister of the lady of the house. Hearing this, Surim understood she was talking about her mother. Actually, Surim's mother had come to visit the aunt that day. Seeing the door open, she went inside and found only a small baby there. Afraid to leave the baby alone, the mother took her home. She thought it was her sister's, the aunt's, friend's child. She immediately called the aunt. Surim told the aunt to make up an excuse and explain it to her mother so she could get the baby back. But the aunt wanted Surim to come clean and tell her parents the truth, because this secret was bound to come out sooner or later. And now, the aunt and uncle were hiding from the loan sharks, effectively homeless. They couldn't care for the baby anymore. With no good excuse coming to mind, the aunt thought of framing her own husband, the uncle, as an unfaithful man. The plan was to pretend Surim's daughter was the uncle's illegitimate child, his secret secret love child. That way, Surim's mother might agree to look after her. The uncle was furious when he heard this, but for the baby's sake, he stayed quiet. Meanwhile, Surim, to avoid her mother's suspicion, acted like she had just arrived from America, suitcase in hand. Her family was overjoyed by the surprise and threw a welcome dinner for her that night. But Surim's mind was completely on her daughter. She was trying to act normal when the sound of a baby crying came from a room. Surim panicked. When her mother brought the baby out, Surim pretended to ask about the baby's secret. They gave the excuse the aunt had scripted, that this was the uncle's child from an affair. But the little baby recognized her real mother, Surim, and started smiling at her. Scared, Surim shook her head at the baby to say no. Still, her younger brother overheard the baby call Surim mama. To avoid suspicion, Surim made an excuse and got up from the dining table. The baby was still breastfeeding. Surim wanted to take advantage of the dark night to feed her. She sneaked into her mother's room, trying to pick the baby up, but she couldn't avoid her parents' eyes. They asked why she was picking up the baby. Surim made an excuse about jet lag keeping her awake and saying she came to check because she heard the baby crying. Her mother thought maybe she'd been in a deep sleep and hadn't heard the cries. Then her mother took the baby from Surim, saying she should rest because she had to start her big new job tomorrow. Tonight's feeding plan failed, and Surim had no choice but to give the baby back to her mother. Now that both mother and daughter had a place to stay, Surim could focus all her attention on work. Her work impressed her boss, Dongjun. As praise, Dongjun took the whole team out to dinner. In the following days, Surim couldn't interact with her daughter at home. She had to act distant, but being away from the baby for so long, especially when her milk came in strong, engorgement, was really distressing for Surim. So she tearfully asked her aunt when she was coming back, then she could take her daughter back. The aunt said it would take time, and it was better to wean the baby off breast milk. But Surim wanted to breastfeed for a few more days, so her daughter would have time to adjust. Just as Surim was crying over her daughter, the next day her mother showed up at her place with the baby. Her mother said she had to go to the bank to pay some bills, and the baby would stay with Surim for a little while. Surim was thrilled to have some alone time with her daughter. As soon as her mother left, she picked up the baby and ran toward the nursing room to breastfeed her. But Surim didn't know her mother had forgotten her purse at the house. When her mother came back and didn't see Surim or the baby, she asked a waiter. The waiter told her they had both gone to the nursing room. Hearing this, her mother was shocked. Not believing her ears, she ran toward the nursing room. And when she pulled back the curtain and looked inside, she was horrified. She couldn't believe her sensible, intelligent daughter had a child of her own. Distraught by this painful truth, the older woman ran away from there. My daughter is only 20 years old. How did she come back with a baby? When Surim saw her mother's state, she ran after her. She knew she had broken her mother's heart. She tried to explain, but her mother wasn't ready to listen to anything. In her panic, her mother hailed a taxi and left. Surim was left holding her baby, crying. When her mother found out that her own sister, the aunt, had also lied to her, she went to the aunt's house and erupted in anger. How could you, as Surim's aunt, lie alongside her? Knowing the truth, the aunt was too ashamed to say anything. Surim's work hours were going on, but she was wandering the streets with her baby. With no one to watch the baby, she asked her aunt for help again. But this time, her aunt flat out refused. Because her mother had already been there and caused a scene, the aunt said she'd only try to help, and now she was the villain. No matter how much Surim begged, her aunt's heart didn't soften. She said that the mistakes of her youth were hers to bear the consequences of now. After her aunt's refusal, Surim kept walking the streets with her baby. She had no home now. Not wanting the baby to suffer in the cold, Surim decided to go home and beg her mother for forgiveness. Seeing the innocent baby and her crying daughter, her mother's heart couldn't hold out. She took the baby from Surim and brought them both inside. That very night, after everyone had gone to sleep, her mother sat alone trying to drink away her worries. She couldn't accept that her brilliant daughter's life was ruined. Surim had been the golden child while studying abroad. How could she suddenly come back with a baby? This thought made her mother cry for days. Now she wanted to know, who is the baby's father? What really happened in America? How could a man leave a mother and child like this? Tell me the truth. Who is this baby's father? Did he die or did he run away? Tell me now. Her mother thought that even if there was no father, there must be grandparents. She couldn't let her daughter become become a single mother. But Rim refused to say anything about her ex-boyfriend. No matter how much her mother pressured her, she didn't reveal the secret. She insisted the baby would be happy even without a father. Hearing this made her mother's anger boil over again. When the sound of crying came from the mother and daughter's room, the father heard it as he was coming home from work. To hide their daughter's secret from her husband, the wife said she was just upset about Rim's struggles abroad. Rim also backed up this lie, because if her father found out the truth, he'd be devastated. But today, her father was in a great mood. As soon as he got home, he shared good news. He was about to be appointed the director of a department. If the administration seat was secured, the position was his. But at this delicate time, no mistakes could be allowed. A government officer's family shouldn't give anyone a chance to find fault, or he could be brought down. Her mother was most afraid that the truth about Rim's baby would get out. She feared it would affect her husband's election. Rim was also worried about her father's career. Helplessly, she decided to tell her father her secret. But just as Rim was about to speak, a phone call stopped her. It was an unknown number. Rim thought it might be from work, but after hearing the call, she was horrified. When she asked who it was, the man on the other end said his name was Woo. This phone call shattered Rim's courage. Instead of telling her father the truth, she decided to make an excuse about being busy with work and leave the house. To avoid endangering her husband's position, her mother secretly sent the baby back to the aunt's house. She thought it was better for everyone. When Rim came home and found out her mother had sent her daughter away again, her heart broke. But she couldn't do anything. She didn't want her mother to hate her baby. She's just an innocent child. The fault is all the mother's. Being away from her baby was becoming unbearable, so Rim went to her aunt's house to get her. But her aunt stopped her. "You're a troublemaker. You only think about yourself and your birth family. Have you ever thought about your father? He barely got this opportunity." After her aunt's lecture, Rim abandoned her plan. But that very night, while walking on the street, she saw her ex-boyfriend. She was shocked. How was her ex, who lived in America, now in Korea? And even more surprising was that the man was proposing to her again, saying he was divorced now and wanted to start over. Hearing this, Rim almost laughed. When he'd heartlessly dumped her before, what did they have to do with each other now? So she straight up lied to this playboy, saying she had a new boyfriend. That was the only way to shake him off. But the next day, she came face to face with her ex at the office. Woo's company had partnered with the Victory Group. The company chairman, introduced his son, Dong-jun, as he was in charge of the project. Rim had been promoted, so Dong-jun was taking her around with him. Once, they stopped to get gas, and a small argument broke out between them. This little scene was witnessed by Rim's ex, Woo. He thought this man must be Rim's new boyfriend. He started digging into the Victory Group's prints and found out he already had a girlfriend. Today was actually Dong-jun's engagement with his fiancée, Maya, but he was out on business. Maya was worried because this engagement was arranged between both families. Dong-jun and Rim were trying to gather intel on a new design from a competitor company. They secretly opened the rear compartment of a truck, climbed in, and took photos. Suddenly hearing a noise, they both hid inside. The driver closed the hatch without checking inside. Now they were trapped. In the dark, Dong-jun confessed he was claustrophobic. A sudden turn of the truck threw them together, and their lips accidentally met. The moment was awkward for Dong-jun, but Rim wrote it off as an accident. She gave a candy to Dong-jun, who was getting irritable from hunger, for some energy. He refused at first, but then took it. Seeing him look so cute for the first time, Rim couldn't help but smile. 3 hours later, they managed to escape. After that day, whenever Dong-jun saw Rim, he remembered that kiss. Especially when she got close, strange thoughts would cross his mind. Once, when she was picking a red thread off his clothes, it happened again. When Dong-jun missed his engagement event, his father scolded him. He called Maya to the office and told Dong-jun to explain. Dong-jun made a work excuse and promised a new date. Maya, who had loved Dong-jun since childhood, found out he'd spent the whole day with Rim. This planted a seed of hatred for Rim in her heart. Meanwhile, to confirm if Rim was really with the Victory Group's prince, Woo set up a dinner meeting with Dong-jun's father. He specifically requested that Dong-jun bring his girlfriend. He wanted to see how his ex-girlfriend would react upon seeing him. Woo's family was a powerhouse in the fashion industry, so the company accepted the request. But at the dinner, Woo saw that Dong-jun's fiancée wasn't Rim, but Maya. Dong-jun introduced her. "This is a lawyer from our company's legal department. We've been friends since childhood, and we're getting engaged soon." Once Woo realized Rim was single, he felt his confidence return and thought about winning her back. He even bought an engagement ring. From then on, he started summoning Rim to his office on work pretexts. Rim had to deliver a gift. Upon arriving at the office, she realized it was her ex's company. Young-woo started reminiscing. Their first meeting, their loving moments. All he wanted was for Soo-rim to get back with him. In a pained voice, he said life was hard without her. But Soo-rim rejected this playboy once more. This time, she wasn't going to look back. Soo-rim's mother didn't want her daughter's life to be ruined because of her child, so she started looking for marriage prospects for her, suggesting she give the baby to someone else and live her own life. Your own life is the most important thing. But Soo-rim refused to abandon her baby. Even without marriage, she would raise her daughter. This conversation was overheard by her younger brother, standing near the door. Now he knew his sister had an unmarried pregnancy abroad. This led to an argument in the room between the three of them, mother, daughter, and son. Soo-rim's father also sensed something was wrong, as he kept coming home to find his wife and daughter arguing. He felt there was a secret. Whenever he asked, everyone clammed up. Finally, the father decided to go to Soo-rim's office to talk. But when he saw Soo-rim holding a baby in her arms, he started following her. A little while later, he saw her take the baby to a vaccination center. And as he got closer, what he heard left him stunned. Soo-rim was comforting the child, calling herself Mama. Don't cry, don't cry. Mama's right here. Don't cry. The old man was furious with his daughter, unable to forgive her for secretly having a child. For the first time, he raised his hand against his beloved daughter. He had sent her abroad to study so she could make something of herself. What did it mean for her to come back with a baby? Heartbroken, the father left the house alone to think. He couldn't accept that his daughter had ruined her life by becoming a single mother. He also wanted to know who was the baby's father, so he told his daughter to call that playboy. If he was the father, he should take responsibility. But his daughter refused, under any circumstance, to reveal the man's identity. She swore she would raise the child alone and that the man knew nothing about it. Understanding the situation, the father gave Soo-rim an ultimatum. He said to leave the baby at an orphanage. If she couldn't do that, then she shouldn't dare call him father. So you choose, the baby or me. Choose. Pick one, me or the baby. The father made a firm decision. His daughter would have to leave the house. He declared that from now on, he had no relation to Soo-rim. Don't go outside and say you're the daughter of the Han family. You can only come back when you bring that man before me. Soo-rim was terrified her father might actually send the baby to an orphanage. Feeling helpless, she got a message right then from her ex, Young-woo, begging to meet again, not wanting to leave her daughter without support. With that thought, Soo-rim decided to meet Young-woo. She wanted to give him a chance. If he was sincere, she would accept him. At least for her daughter's sake, she had to do this. She asked him, "Do you really regret it? If we get back together, will you value me?" She was about to leave when Young-woo grabbed her from behind and said, "I regret it. If there's a next life, I'd regret it then too. I want to keep you by my side forever." Soo-rim had no confidence in starting over with her ex, but thinking of her daughter, she felt forced to say yes. To see if Young-woo liked children, Soo-rim brought her daughter to meet him. She wanted to seize the moment to tell him the truth, but at first, her excuse was that this was a relative's baby she was just watching. But when the baby started crying at the restaurant, Young-woo's face twisted in irritation. He said bluntly that he never liked kids. It's better to enjoy life than to raise a child. Why are people so obsessed with having offspring? Soo-rim hadn't expected such a heartless answer from her ex. It showed her his true feelings. He didn't like children, and he never wanted to be a father himself. Soo-rim's heart broke all over again. In the middle of Young-woo's phone call, she picked up her baby and left. If a man doesn't like my daughter, what's the point of being together? She would never tell her ex about this child. After being kicked out of her home, Soo-rim started living at her aunt's house with her baby. Outwardly, her father was putting on a show of not forgiving her, but inside, he was sick with worry about his daughter. In his mind, Soo-rim was still that little girl. How could she take care of a baby herself? He blamed his wife entirely, saying she hadn't raised their daughter right. His wife couldn't bear this unfair accusation. Their daughter was abroad. What was she supposed to do? This issue caused a huge fight between husband and wife. The father was spewing venom with his words, but in his heart, he was aching for his daughter. He even secretly went to the aunt's house to see Soo-rim. He knew his daughter was now working while also caring for the baby. How could the girl he raised endure so much hardship? So, as soon as he got home, the father started searching online for orphanages in Korea. He was looking for a place where his granddaughter could be in good hands. After making all the preparations, he asked his brother-in-law, the aunt's husband, for help. He said he would take the baby out for a stroll. As her grandfather, he couldn't bear not seeing her. The brother-in-law understood that the father had finally accepted the baby and was happy for Soo-rim. After all, blood is blood. And so, deceiving everyone, the father left his granddaughter at an orphanage. As he walked away, no matter how much the little girl cried, his heart didn't soften once. When Soo-rim found out her father had abandoned her baby, she was was shattered. Her heart felt like it had been stabbed with a knife. She knew she had hurt her parents. That was her fault. Now, all she was begging for was for her father to bring the baby back. But the old man made it clear she should never go after the child again. A 20-year-old girl should live her own life. Saying this, the father retreated to his room and wiped away his tears. If he weren't worried about his daughter's future, he would never have left the baby himself. Surim didn't know where her father had sent the baby, so she frantically searched the streets for her child. But even in this state, she had to go to work because there was an important product launch that day. If she was absent without reason, it would burden her colleagues. And so, worrying about her daughter, Surim completed the launch event. Thankfully, she finally got a call from her younger brother, who told her their mother had found the baby. Surim's heart felt lighter. As soon as she got home, she held her daughter tightly in her arms. If she had lost her baby, she would have died herself. To prevent her father from sending the baby to an orphanage again, Surim packed her things and secretly left home with her daughter. This time she didn't ask her aunt for help. Instead, she contacted her best friend. That friend had been abroad and had been with Surim throughout her entire pregnancy. She knew all her secrets. Just as the two best friends met at the apartment gate, Youngwoo suddenly showed up too. Actually, he had come to meet Surim's best friend to find out what his ex had been doing for 2 years. But as soon as he got out of his car, he saw Surim walking past him holding a baby, and her best friend showed no surprise at seeing the small child. Instead, she said how big the baby had gotten. Seeing this scene, a thought crossed Youngwoo's mind. Could the baby in Surim's arms be his? To check the truth of his suspicion, he called Surim out the next day and asked her directly, "That baby you showed me last time, is it really a relative's?" Surim hadn't expected her ex to ask such a question, but to keep the baby's secret, she firmly insisted that yes, it was a relative's child, and that he shouldn't interfere in her family matters. Saying this, she quickly walked away. At that moment, Youngwoo thought maybe he was overthinking. Now that Surim had her best friend's help, she could focus completely on her work. The moments spent with Dongjun these days had created a special closeness between them. Feeling something for each other was becoming natural, but this closeness didn't escape the notice of Dongjun's fiancée, Maya. From then on, Maya began watching their every move. She was afraid Surim would steal her man right before her eyes, and the thing she feared most happened all too quickly. One day, while looking for clothes in the warehouse, Surim suddenly slipped. Just as she was about to fall, Dongjun arrived just in time, caught her, and pulled her into his arms. He held Surim so tightly against him that he let all the heavy items fall on himself. Unfortunately, Maya also witnessed this scene. Dongjun had no idea. He held Surim's face and asked, "You're not hurt, are you?" In that moment, something stirred in Surim's heart too. She felt something for Dongjun for the first time. Standing there, Maya saw with her own eyes how the two were communicating with their eyes. She was so furious, she left the warehouse. When her fiancé had left, she came back and stood right in front of Surim. She slapped her and started yelling, "He's my man. Why do you keep calling him? What are your intentions?" Maya warned Surim again, "Don't go near Dongjun. Don't even look at him. Don't smile at him." If she did it again, she wouldn't let her off easily. Surim didn't complain about the slap. She herself didn't understand why she felt something different for Dongjun. Because she's a single mother with a child, she knows she's not good enough for Dongjun, so she tried to keep her distance. But despite Surim's efforts, Maya didn't forgive her. Even though her engagement with Dongjun was this weekend, Maya knowingly asked Surim to design her engagement gown. Surim didn't refuse and agreed right away. She stayed up all night to finish the design. After the design was done, Surim called Dongjun to the office to try on the gown. Surim acted completely indifferent the whole time, which made Dongjun angry. He couldn't believe there wasn't a single drop of love for him in Surim's heart. It didn't sit right with him that she could so easily design his engagement gown. He wished she would be upset or feel jealous. "Are you really happy and content about doing this work?" "Yes, I truly am happy." Soon, the day of Dongjun and Maya's engagement arrived. Everyone was present at the engagement venue, except Dongjun hadn't arrived, because on the way, his mind was filled only with memories of Surim. All their sweet moments together played before his eyes. In that moment, he became certain that he had truly fallen in love with Surim. So, midway, he changed the direction of his car. He left his fiancée waiting at the venue, and went to the woman he loved instead and kissed her. Because his heart and mind were now occupied only by her, he couldn't get engaged to one girl while his feelings were for another. When When Maya found out her fiancé had run off and left her, her anger went through the roof. After all, she had loved Dongjun since childhood, and they were childhood friends whose marriage had been prearranged. And now he wanted to leave her for some other girl? Dongjun felt guilty inside and could only say sorry. He said Maya should know this relationship was never based on love. Arranged relationships forced by parents never end well. So, all of this was bound to happen. Maya felt insulted and slapped Dongjun. But even then, she wanted to keep him tied to her. This time, however, Dongjun had made a firm decision to break off the engagement with Maya. He confessed the truth to his father, that he had fallen in love with someone else and couldn't marry Maya. But his step took it a step too far for his stepmother, because she was the one who had planned to set up Dongjun with Maya, so she could get her husband's property in her name. Not willing to let her plan fail, the stepmother spoke to Surim's mother the next day. Both were high society ladies who met at parties. The stepmother knowingly told Surim's mother that her son had canceled his engagement, and perhaps the reason was her daughter, Surim. Hearing this, Surim's mother couldn't believe it. She immediately confronted her daughter and asked for the truth. Did you stop looking for your baby's father because of this guy? Surim quickly explained that nothing like that was happening. She had no special relationship with the Victory Group's prince. It was all just rumors. Hearing this, her mother's heart felt lighter. If it were really true, she would never forgive her. Deep down, she still wanted her daughter to bring her ex, Youngwoo, back, so at least he would know about the child. On her way back, her mother bumped into a stranger. Both said sorry and went their separate ways. She still had no idea who that man was. Surim knew that being a single mother made her unworthy of Dongjun, so she kept running from this love. Now she just wanted to work hard and feed herself and her daughter. But just as Surim was focusing all her energy on work, her father faced major trouble because of her. It was the day of her father's promotion hearing. If everything went well, he would become a director. At first, her father's answers were very good. But suddenly, the secret of Surim being an unwed mother was exposed in front of the media. Someone at the hearing asked directly, "Who is the small child seen at your house? And why did you leave it with your relatives?" Hearing this, her father panicked. He didn't know his daughter's secret would come out like this. The whole family held their breath. Actually, reporters had already gathered all the information. Just as they were about to present the evidence to the media, Surim's father spoke up. That child is my out-of-wedlock child, my own flesh and blood." To give a convincing reason, the father told the media that his granddaughter was his own illegitimate child. Angry murmurs rose from the entire hall. The old man did all this just to protect his daughter's honor. At least the secret about Surim wouldn't be revealed. The father took the blame for his daughter's mistake. His chance to become a director slipped away because his image was ruined. When Surim saw this shocking news on her phone, her heart broke. In the end, her parents paid the price for her mistake. After this incident, her father completely disappeared. When Surim reached home, her mother started scolding her. "Your foolishness has destroyed your father's career. Do you know how hard he worked for that position? He was always careful, never took anything from anyone. And today, because of you, it's all over. This is all your fault. Forgive me, Mom. Please forgive me. I don't want to hear your damned sorry. Get out of here. I don't even want to see you." Meanwhile, Dongjun's father had given Surim the job because her father was a high-ranking officer. He wanted to build connections. Now that he found out Surim's father had failed, he had no use for her. That same day, the president told his son to fire Surim. Why keep something that's no longer useful? But Dongjun said Surim became team leader on her own merit. She couldn't be fired just because of her parents. From the beginning, she never needed any recommendations. However, Dongjun's father didn't change his decision. If you won't fire her, then send her to the most difficult and exhausting department. Don't give me nonsense. Do as I say. Surim couldn't stand to see her father dishonored like this. Reading the terrible things being said about her father in the news broke her heart, and she started blaming herself. In that moment, she decided she would tell everyone the truth. But before that, she had to tell her ex about the baby. Unfortunately, her ex was abroad on a business trip. Surim decided to wait for him to return. The next day, when Surim arrived at the office, reporters surrounded her, asking about her parents' scandal. When Dongjun saw Surim encircled by reporters, he immediately stepped forward and took her to the office backyard to hide. Now Dongjun was also curious after hearing about his father's illegitimate child. Feeling genuine pain for Surim, he hugged her to give her comfort. After all, if a sister suddenly appeared out of nowhere, how much pain must a daughter be in? Surim knew everyone had misunderstood her father. This time, she had firmly decided to tell Dongjun the truth. "No, that's not it. That child is not my father's. That child is my own daughter." Hearing the truth, it took Dongjun some time to to process this reality. At the same time, he remembered how Su-rim had treated that child with such affection these past days. That look of tenderness could only belong to a mother. In that moment, the man realized he had fallen in love with a single mother. He couldn't quite digest the fact that the girl he liked was a mother. That same night, Dong-jun went to a bar and drank heavily. Seeing Su-rim in the office, he no longer had his previous confidence. He couldn't go talk to her boldly like before. Su-rim regretted from the bottom of her heart that she hadn't told Dong-jun the truth earlier. She shouldn't have kept it from him. This is my fault alone. I'm the only one who fell in love. Because the love was only on my side, you don't need to apologize. As soon as Young-woo returned from his business trip, he met his ex-girlfriend. He thought the girl had come to see him so they could get back together. But he found out he had a child of his own. After the breakup, Su-rim discovered she was pregnant. Young-woo's face upon hearing this was something to behold. He found out he had become a father 2 whole years ago. Stunned and flustered, he asked for time to process this information. Su-rim had told the baby's father, and now she was preparing to tell the media the truth. She begged her father not to take the blame for her mistake. Tomorrow she would hold a press conference and tell everyone. But her father stopped his daughter from doing this. He said, "I've already lost my position. People's talk doesn't matter to me anymore. But in this world, how important is a girl's honor? If word gets out that a 20-year-old girl became an unwed mother, what won't people say? It's better to keep this secret hidden forever. It's better for both you and the baby." Under her father's intense pressure, Su-rim agreed and decided to remain silent. At the same time, due to her father's lost position, she also had to give up her job as design team leader. The leader of an important project was now a common employee. After all, Su-rim had only gotten the job because of her father. The boss had given her a good position to please him. Now that her father had no influence, she was of no use. Instead of firing her directly, she was assigned the most difficult and exhausting work. Seeing the workload there, she'd resign on her own. And that's exactly what happened. On the very first day, a senior employee scolded Su-rim terribly. He accused her of having poor stamina and being clumsy. When Dong-jun found out that the girl he loved was working in the warehouse, his anger shot through the roof. He went to his father and asked why he had done this. But his father turned on him. "That one girl is ruining your entire project. Are you that foolish? Come to your senses." Dong-jun couldn't bear to see Su-rim in such a state in the warehouse, so he secretly went to see her. As soon as he entered, he saw a senior yelling at Su-rim. Seeing the girl he loved in such distress made Dong-jun's heart ache. He stepped forward, took Su-rim's hand, and told her to quit. How could a designer do warehouse work? Su-rim explained that she had to feed her daughter, so no matter how difficult, she wouldn't quit her job. She told Dong-jun not to interfere in her affairs because they were from different worlds. She didn't want to cause him trouble. Hearing these words broke Dong-jun's heart. He couldn't watch the girl he loved bearing her troubles alone. If her ex were a decent man, he would have stepped up to help. That night, a troubled Dong-jun was driving aimlessly through the streets when he saw Su-rim with Young-woo. Seeing this left him stunned. He couldn't understand it at first, but then he remembered. That time Su-rim and Young-woo had gone to dinner together. Every time they met, their expressions were different. In that moment, Dong-jun understood. Young-woo is Su-rim's ex. He couldn't digest this truth. He went to a bar again and drank heavily. He was afraid. Would Su-rim get back together with her ex for her daughter's sake? Because Young-woo's divorce case from his ex-wife was still ongoing, and due to a property dispute, it would take at least 5 more months to finalize. He wasn't even thinking about a new marriage yet. The next time they met, Su-rim asked him to meet her parents so they could get to know the baby's father. Young-woo couldn't refuse and said yes. The next day, Young-woo arrived at Su-rim's house with gifts. Her mother was happy to see the prospective son-in-law. After all, the guy was good-looking and from a good family. Her daughter's life was settling down. Her father didn't show any particular emotion at first, but when Young-woo said he would take responsibility for Su-rim, her father took him aside for a talk. He needed a firm promise that he would take care of both mother and daughter and keep Su-rim happy. Young-woo, who wasn't legally divorced yet, was a little nervous, but he still made the promise to her father. This meeting impressed Su-rim's parents. They felt their daughter was in good hands. Now there was only one worry left: Su-rim's situation at the company. After the press conference, everyone knew her job was due to her father's recommendation. Would her boss treat her differently now? Su-rim lied that everything was fine and she was still working as a team leader. Her parents were relieved. They didn't know their daughter had been assigned the hardest work in the warehouse, where she had to help everyone all the time. Dongjun couldn't bear to see Surim in this state, so he presented a new project plan, created by Surim, to his father. He said this project was very important for the company, and it was essential to bring Surim back to the design team. Finally, his father agreed for the project's sake, and so Surim was called back to the design team the next day. Dongjun's heart was still beating for Surim. He expressed his love for her again. He said even though she was a single mother, he didn't care. Could she give him a chance to become a father to her daughter? But Surim refused immediately, because she had already said yes to Youngwoo about getting back together. This answer shattered Dongjun's heart. Even after bending so low, he couldn't win Surim's heart. Surim secretly cried in the elevator as she left. The truth was, she had also fallen in love with Dongjun, but she knew that being a single mother made her unworthy of him. Meanwhile, Youngwoo found out from his friends that the Victory Group's son, Dongjun, wanted Surim, and that's why he had canceled his engagement. Hearing this, Youngwoo panicked. He was afraid that Dongjun, who loved her sincerely, might steal Surim away. So the next day, he called Dongjun out. He directly told him that he and Surim were going to get married, and he wanted his blessing. He wanted Dongjun to know that Surim was his. Youngwoo's tactic worked. Dongjun was furious. Now Youngwoo's biggest problem was that his divorce wasn't final yet. But to keep Surim close quickly, he thought of sending her back to America so she could finish her studies. So he met with Surim's mother and explained his plan. He said, Surim left her studies for the baby. That's an unfinished chapter. I want her to go to America and complete her course. Surim's mother already regretted that her daughter had quit her studies. Now that the prospective son-in-law brought it up, she gave her full support. She said that while Surim was abroad, she herself would take care of the baby. Young people should see the world. With his plan accepted, Youngwoo was very happy. The next day, he told Surim about it. He explained that completing her studies would be good for her future, and her father had already suffered so much for his daughter. If the truth came out now that the baby was a granddaughter, not an illegitimate child, her parents would have to endure even more pain. Leaving now would be better. Surim began to think he was right, and there was still something in her heart for Dongjun. Maybe leaving Korea was for the best. Youngwoo took Surim's silence as a yes. The next day, he brought the mother and daughter to his house. It was the first time he had ever held such a small baby. He had bought a lot of toys for the baby. Cleverly, he hid a proposal ring tied to a shoelace. When Surim opened the shoebox, she saw the sparkling ring, and he proposed to her right then. Marry me. To give her daughter a complete family, Surim had said yes to his marriage proposal. She thought maybe her boyfriend had changed this time, so she gave him a chance. What Surim didn't know was that her boyfriend was still a married man, and his wife, Lena, had left America and come to Korea. When Youngwoo saw Lena, he was horrified. He hadn't expected his wife to show up here now. Long time no see, darling. Youngwoo showed great impatience in front of Lena, so the woman reminded him they were still husband and wife, at least legally. In a marriage between two big families, separating involves property disputes. Both want to get as much money as possible for themselves, which is why the divorce isn't moving forward. Lena came to Korea this time to find some weakness of Youngwoo's to use for advantage in the court case. His wife's sudden appearance robbed Youngwoo of his sleep. If Lena found out he had a child, things would get even more complicated. But Youngwoo didn't know that Lena had already found out about Surim. The very next day, she called Surim to a coffee shop and introduced herself as Youngwoo's wife. Surim couldn't understand why her boyfriend's wife wanted to meet her. Lena explained, I don't want a good girl to be tricked by a playboy. I want you to see Youngwoo's true face. While he was dating you, he was having an affair with me. Now he's only stuck on the divorce because of the property. Hearing this, Surim felt she had been betrayed again. Youngwoo had been a fake and a fraud from the start. She had only given him another chance for her daughter's sake. And now she found out Youngwoo was still married. How could she let such a man become her daughter's father? Youngwoo soon found out Lena had met Surim, and that Surim looked very upset. Hearing this, Youngwoo panicked. He was afraid Surim might misunderstand. So he immediately made a plan to meet Surim and explain everything. Surim also wanted to hear what her boyfriend had to say. So that night, she went to Youngwoo's apartment with her daughter. As soon as she entered, she said, don't lie in front of the child. Youngwoo told Surim to calm down and listen. Although he wasn't divorced from Lena yet, the relationship was over. She just needed to give him a little time, and everything would be sorted out. Hearing this, Surim almost laughed. She couldn't forgive a boyfriend who lied to her and her parents. This time, she firmly decided to stay away from this man. No matter what excuses Youngwoo gave, Surim gave him no chance. How foolish I was to trust you. Surim bent down to try to pick up her daughter's hat. That's when her eyes fell on a document on the floor. She picked it up and saw it was was a DNA test report between Youngwoo and her daughter. In that moment, the truth dawned on Surim. Her boyfriend had doubted that this child was even his, so he had secretly gone to the hospital to get this test done. Actually, from the beginning, he hadn't believed the child was his. Seeing such a painful truth, Surim picked up the report and threw it in Youngwoo's face. Her heart was completely cold now. From today, this child has no connection to you. Surim left with her baby. She threw away the engagement ring Youngwoo had given her. How did I let this playboy trick me twice? This is the biggest insult for a girl. Thinking about this made her cry again. Youngwoo's true face was revealed, but he didn't accept defeat. To bind Surim to him again, he targeted her mother, his prospective mother-in-law. He invited her to private dinners, gifted her an expensive car, and talked at length about how happy they would all be after he married Surim. He was proving himself to be a good husband and a good father. Surim's mother was delighted to hear all this. That's when Youngwoo cleverly said, "But lately, Surim is angry with me. No matter how much I apologize, she won't listen. What do you say? Could you talk some sense into her?" Surim's mother liked Youngwoo very much. This time, she took his side and promised she would make her daughter understand. But the next day, at the dinner table, Surim told her family she was breaking up with Youngwoo and there would be no marriage now. Hearing this, everyone was shocked, especially her mother, who had been so happy, now said angrily, "How can you let go of such a good guy?" Surim didn't reveal the truth about Youngwoo being married. She just said there was no love left between them. Her mother's anger grew. "How can I believe that? We found such a nice guy with so much effort, and now you suddenly say there's no love? If you separate, what will happen to this child?" "Surim, how foolish are you to do this?" Her father seemed calm. He said if his daughter didn't want to, there should be no force. But her mother wouldn't give up. To make her daughter agree, she started pretending to be sick. She said that until her daughter changed her mind, she would stop eating and drinking. "How can you expect me to accept this? We finally found such a good guy, and now you suddenly say there's no love, you'll separate? What will happen to the baby?" "Surim, how foolish are you to do such a thing?" But Surim publicly revealed the secret of her being an unwed mother on the internet. Because she wanted to clear her father's name and stop people in Korea from thinking an officer had an illegitimate child. Soon, this news went viral online. Everyone found out that Surim's father had sacrificed his career for his daughter. In that moment, the Korean public felt sympathy for the old man. But some people were so angry they started throwing rotten eggs at Surim. They said a shameless girl like her didn't deserve to be called a good daughter. No control over your own body, and you seek so much publicity? How shameless are you? Hearing such insults, Surim was at a loss for how to respond. Thankfully, her colleagues rescued her and got her out of there. With the mess of eggs all over her head, Surim's tears flowed. But even then, she had no regrets about her decision. Meanwhile, when Youngwoo saw the news, he was furious. Because now that this secret was public, his wife, Lena, would find out he was the child's father. And then he'd get nothing in the divorce settlement. And that's exactly what happened. As soon as Lena saw the news, she modified her divorce case and canceled her flight back to America. When Youngwoo found out, his anger skyrocketed. The child going public had completely weakened his case. So the next day, he called Surim and started yelling at her. "Why didn't you talk to me before going public about the baby? Now my divorce case is even more difficult." This time, Surim didn't want to give any explanation. She returned the engagement ring Youngwoo had given her. Her decision was final. She wanted to let go from the bottom of her heart. "My child doesn't need a father now. A man who gets a DNA test behind my back, who never believed the child was his from the start, has no right to be my child's father." But Youngwoo still wanted to cling to his first love. He wasn't going to let her go that easily. After all, they shared a child. When Dongjun found out Surim had confessed everything in public, he was happy. He realized she had broken up with her ex. This was something to celebrate. So Dongjun asked Surim what her feelings for him were now. Surim didn't lie. She admitted that yes, she had fallen in love with Dongjun. Hearing Surim say she loved him for the first time, Dongjun's heart filled with joy. He lost control and stepped forward to pull Surim into his arms. So it wasn't just one-sided love, they loved each other. But when Dongjun's fiancée Maya saw this news, a smile appeared on her face. She couldn't believe anyone would want a woman with a child. Maybe soon Dongjun would leave her too. Thinking this made her face brighten even more. So she excitedly went to Dongjun's office to mock him. But to her surprise, Dongjun already knew everything. He said, "Surim being a single mother is not news to me. Even if she has a child, I still like her. Hearing this, Maya's head spun. She hadn't thought the heir to the Victory Group could be so crazy over a woman with a child. She said, I'll see how long your relationship lasts. Saying this, she angrily went to find Su-rim. She couldn't understand what was so special about Su-rim that had Dong-jun so captivated. In her anger, she slapped Su-rim. How dare a woman with a child like you have the nerve to love the heir of the Victory Group? Su-rim didn't raise her hand in retaliation, but her words struck back. You have no right to get angry with me like this. You have no place between Dong-jun and me. Hearing this made Maya's anger flare even more, but she could do nothing. Su-rim's father had not forgiven Young-woo, who, despite being married, had pursued his daughter. He scolded him and told him to stay out of Su-rim's life and never make a claim for custody of the child. Saying this, he placed the car keys Young-woo had given him on the table. Young-woo was at a loss for what to do next. On the other hand, Dong-ju signed the contract for the kids' clothing line, and the lead designer was Su-rim. So, Su-rim had to stay in the design department. This was good news for her. Dong-ju, impatiently, asked Su-rim out to dinner. When he happily arrived, he saw that Su-rim had brought the entire department with her. Scared of an awkward situation, she had invited all her colleagues so Dong-ju would have to treat them. Dong-ju was furious, but couldn't do anything about it. At the dinner table, Dong-ju was looking at Su-rim affectionately. She thought he was going to propose right in front of everyone, so she started trying to signal him with her eyes to stop. But Dong-ju just shared the good news that she would be staying in the design department. Hearing this, Su-rim was thrilled, but they didn't know that back at the office, Maya had secretly opened Su-rim's computer and copied the new designs. And the very next day, Su-rim found out that her kids' clothing designs had been leaked and were already being sold wholesale. Su-rim rushed to the wholesale market and bought all 999 identical pieces she could find. She emptied the entire market stock of those pink sweatshirts. She wanted this design to disappear from the wholesale market. She didn't know which factory had stolen her design, so she asked the wholesale shop owner where the merchandise had come from. The owner, not wanting to get into trouble, pretended to be deaf. It wasn't until Dong-jun legally explained to him that this was a crime and he could go to jail. Scared, the owner revealed the factory's location, but the factory owner refused to meet Su-rim. He didn't want to say where he got the design. The Victory Group's president was troubled by the company's design leak. That's when the prospective daughter-in-law, Maya, pointed a finger of suspicion. She said, only Su-rim had access to this design, so she is the suspect. She's the one. The chairman found Maya's words convincing. He made a plan to fire Su-rim from the company. Meanwhile, Su-rim sat outside the factory owner's house, tears streaming, begging him to tell the truth. I'm just a small-time designer. Because of this, I'm being blamed at the company. My reputation will be ruined. I'll lose my job. The factory owner saw the girl had been sitting there all day. His heart softened. He told her a man named Xiao He had given him the design. As soon as he gave the location, Su-rim went there. At first, Xiao He refused to admit anything. When Su-rim threatened him, explaining that the design had a security watermark and he'd have to pay millions in compensation if a case was filed, he finally nodded in agreement. He said he had found the design in a locker at the metro station. Someone had left it there, asking for no money. Su-rim realized the thief wasn't doing this for money, but for some other reason. Following Xiao He's directions, Su-rim went to the metro station. There, she saw a CCTV camera near the lockers. That same day, she took the CCTV footage and presented it to the chairman. She wanted to prove she didn't leak the design, but that someone had framed her. Seeing this, Maya, who was sitting there, held her breath. After Su-rim left, she started poisoning the chairman's ear again. This is all a trick by Su-rim to save herself. Don't trust what she says. The chairman decided not to launch Su-rim's design. Better not to escalate this matter. What was important now wasn't who was guilty, but getting Su-rim out of the company. When Dong-jun heard his father had canceled Su-rim's design, he objected. If she's not at fault, why are you scrapping her design? His father said, Su-rim repeatedly causes problems for the company. There's no need to take risks for a person like that. Dong-jun tried to argue again, but his father silenced him. Not only will her design not run, but she also has to leave the company. Because the CCTV footage only showed the back of the person placing the design in the locker, Maya was scared. She had covered her tracks, but she was still afraid Su-rim would catch her. So, she first gave some stolen documents to Young-woo. Because the two were already in a secret alliance. With Maya Maya's help, Young-woo quickly succeeded in establishing a foothold in the Victory Group. Easily, he became the company's largest shareholder. As soon as he entered the Victory Group, Young-woo's first task was to take revenge on Dong-jun. He made Soo-rim his secretary, and he placed Dong-jun under him in a small, insignificant department. Dong-jun couldn't accept this reality. He spoke to his father, but this decision had been made collectively by all the shareholders. Young-woo's investment was very profitable for the company, so no matter how much Dong-jun opposed it, nothing could be changed. As the major shareholder, Young-woo made Dong-jun his first target. In shareholder meetings, whenever Dong-jun made a suggestion, Young-woo would shoot it down and mock him. Every attempt was made to belittle him. Dong-jun couldn't bear this humiliation, but he could do nothing. Soo-rim sat there watching all this, and her heart ached. She knew her ex was taking out his anger on Dong-jun in his quest to have her. So, she went to Young-woo's office and knelt down on her knees in front of him. She apologized and said, "If your anger is with me, then take it out on me. Why torment Dong-jun for no reason? We can never be together again." When Young-woo saw Soo-rim kneeling for someone else in front of him, his anger shot through the roof. The very next day, Young-woo had Dong-ju removed from the main company and sent to the logistics department. Soo-rim saw Dong-ju struggling with the hard work, and her heart broke. Dong-ju had never done this kind of labor before. This dirty, difficult work was beneath him, but to stay with the company, he had to do it. When he turned around, he saw Soo-rim standing there. Dong-ju put on a brave face and said hello. Soo-rim understood the pain in his heart. All she did was bring him lunch and quietly sit with him. Even in this difficult time, that moment was sweet for both of them. Soo-rim hadn't forgotten her own plan. She went to Young-woo's office to check his computer, hoping to find a lead on the missing lawyer, Mr. Soo. She found Mr. Soo's email. She was just about to open it when Young-woo came back unexpectedly. Soo-rim quickly hid behind the chair. Young-woo didn't see her, but his phone was on the table. Young-woo felt a little suspicious, but didn't think much of it. The moment Young-woo left, Soo-rim grabbed the phone and took a picture of the email. The next day, the worried aunt usually takes care of her granddaughter herself, but today, she left the little girl with Young-woo. When she got home, she had a dementia attack. She thought the baby was missing. She couldn't find her anywhere in the house. She thought hard and remembered she had left the baby with Young-woo. The aunt called Young-woo, but he didn't answer, wanting to make her situation worse. The baby needed a diaper change. The room was starting to smell. Young-woo was disgusted. He had his assistant change the diaper and told them to get the baby out of there quickly. Soon after, the aunt arrived at Young-woo's house. Seeing the baby, her heart settled. After Young-woo dropped the aunt off at home, she ran into Soo-rim there. Soo-rim, who was fighting Young-woo for custody of the baby, hated him. Soo-rim scolded the aunt, asking why she took the baby to Young-woo without her permission. The aunt just thought it was good for Young-woo and the baby to bond. She didn't think she'd done anything wrong, but the whole family showed their disapproval. The aunt stopped listening and went to her room. Her husband followed her in and started making snide remarks, telling her to at least stop being a burden. At this time, no one knew the aunt had dementia. Everyone's carelessness had hurt her deeply. She said she wanted to leave the house. Her husband got very angry and couldn't understand what she wanted. He kept asking if she was losing her mind. "I want to do the right thing too, but I just can't seem to get it right. I just can't." Hearing the aunt sob, her husband was stunned. He still didn't understand. This was the last straw for the aunt. She told her son she wanted to go on a train trip with him. Her son refused at first, but seeing his mother's sad face, he agreed. For the entire trip, the aunt kept packing food for her son and taking pictures with him. She was afraid she would forget, so she wanted to capture memories of him in photos. The husband remembered the aunt's breakdown from the day before and felt regret. He tried to talk to her, but he was shocked by the first thing she said. "Let's get a divorce." Narration: the husband couldn't believe it. The aunt calmly said she was tired of being a burden and wanted to live alone now. The husband realized his behavior had been too much, but now it was too late. The aunt went to her room, looked at the photos she took with her son, and started crying again. She didn't want to leave her son or her family, but she didn't want to be a burden because of her illness. The aunt quietly decided to leave. She went to a nursing home and asked about admission. Hearing there were nurses there, the aunt felt a little relief. Coming home, she started packing clothes. Seeing so many clothes, she couldn't decide what to pack. In the middle of this, her husband called for dinner. For the first time, the aunt put on makeup, wore nice clothes, and went on the date. Her husband was shocked to see her. The strange thing was, the aunt acted like nothing had ever happened. She happily ate her steak, started talking about a trip to America, and about meeting her daughter. But her daughter had come back a whole year ago. This meant the aunt's mind was stuck a year in the past. The husband finally understood that something was seriously wrong with her. He stepped outside and stood there, breaking down inside. Now he realized how wrong he had been, and his heart was filled with deep regret. Meanwhile, Dongju's father was about to go to sleep when his young wife, Sophie, brought him his usual special spice, garlic juice. The old man drank it without suspicion, but tonight's juice tasted unusually bitter. He didn't suspect a thing, even though a shady smile played on his wife's lips. Sleep well. At midnight, the drug took effect, and the old man fell into a deep sleep. That's when Sophie sprang into action. She went to the chairman's villa outside the city and hid a large suitcase full of cash in the chimney. After doing all this, Sophie was so tense she started sweating. While wiping her brow, she didn't notice a highway toll receipt falling from her pocket. The next morning, the old man woke up feeling utterly drained, his mind still foggy. Suddenly, he was called to a meeting. Hearing the agenda, he was stunned. He was about to be removed from his position. Young-woo had presented fake accounts and accused him of tax evasion. The old man had done no such thing. Furious, he pleaded his innocence, but the shareholders, whom Young-woo had bought off, weren't listening. And then, the final blow that broke his heart. Maya walked into the meeting with the cash-filled suitcase, claiming it was found at his villa. Maya had turned against him too. The chairman realized this was all a conspiracy. He gave up and sat down in defeat. The moment he got home, inspectors followed him and took him away. As they let him off, Sophie just stood at the door, watching with cold eyes. The chairman finally saw her true face. She seemed like a complete stranger to him. The moment he was taken, Sophie became the new CEO of the group. But her ambitions didn't end there. One day, she wanted to sit in the chairman's seat herself. Dong-ju could only watch in shock as Sophie betrayed everyone. Dong-ju knew Young-woo was behind this conspiracy. Furious, he confronted him. Young-woo had nothing now. He admitted he had done it all to get revenge on Dong-ju. He had proof that could exonerate the old man, and he would only hand it over if Dong-ju left Su-rim for good. Dong-ju never expected him to use Su-rim as a weapon. He refused to bow to such a threat. Maya overheard their conversation. She couldn't understand Dong-ju's decision. She asked why he would give up Su-rim when he had a chance to save his father. Dong-ju didn't answer, just looked at Maya with eyes full of disappointment. He now knew she was behind what happened at the office. We're not friends anymore. Maya had lost Dong-ju completely, but she blamed it all on Su-rim. She began to hate Su-rim, the woman who had come to ruin her happiness, and was now dragging Dong-ju down with her. Su-rim had no idea what was happening. Maya told her about the deal between Dong-ju and Young-woo. That's when Su-rim realized the enormous sacrifice Dong-ju had made for her. She was filled with regret. The thought of the pain she had caused Dong-ju broke her heart. After much thought, she made a decision. She went to Young-woo and told him she would come back to him and erase Dong-ju from her mind. If only he would let Dong-ju go. Young-woo got his answer, but he wasn't happy. Instead, he was furious that Su-rim was willingly sacrificing her own happiness for Dong-ju. He threw a USB stick at her and said he would let Dong-ju go. But if Su-rim picked up that USB, she would have to sever all ties with Dong-ju. Su-rim agreed. This was her last act for Dong-ju, but she didn't know Young-woo only wanted her back so he could hurt her more, not out of love. Meanwhile, Maya was staring intently at a traffic light. The moment it turned red, she hit the accelerator. Her husband was terrified and tried to stop her, but the woman's eyes were filled with hatred, fixed on the car ahead, aiming for a direct collision. A major accident occurred. The woman was taken to the hospital unconscious, and she had done it all just to cover up her crime. Just yesterday, she had helped oust the chairman and taken the position of group CEO herself. She didn't know her partner, Young-woo, had given the USB with the real accounts to Su-rim. Su-rim didn't give that USB to Dong-ju, but went to see Maya instead. She gave Maya the USB and told her she was leaving Dong-ju to return to Young-woo, hoping Maya would forgive her. Maya never thought Su-rim would make such a sacrifice. Even though she was jealous of Su-rim and Dong-ju, she couldn't bear to see Dong-ju in despair. She gave the USB to Dong-ju. Dong-ju didn't know this USB had been bought with Su-rim's happiness. Now he had to find the person who had framed his father. He went to the villa looking for clues. There, he found a highway toll receipt. He quickly left the villa. The caretaker immediately called the woman to report Dong-ju's visit. Sophie panicked. Dong-ju reached the toll plaza. There were CCTV cameras there. With police help, he checked the footage. Soon, a message came from the police. Just as he suspected, it was Sophie who had hidden the money at the villa. Sophie sat at home, anxious and afraid Dong-ju would catch her. She told her mother that if Dong-ju came, to say she wasn't home. But before she could leave, Dongju arrived. He placed the USB with the real accounts in front of Sophie. Sophie continued to act innocent. Did someone frame the chairman? Dongju ignored her and showed her the toll receipt. Sophie's face changed. She said she had just gone for a drive, and he had no proof she hid the money. Dongju mentioned going to the police station. Sophie got scared that everything would come out. She said she would take him there herself. On the way, she was looking for an opportunity. If there was an accident, they wouldn't need to go to the police station. Just as she planned, it happened. Sophie deliberately caused an accident. Dongju never thought she could be so dangerous. Thankfully, with the evidence in hand, the chairman was released from jail. After everything was over, Su Rim decided to say goodbye to Dongju. She told him she was going back to Youngwoo, as he was, after all, the father of her child. This was a shock to Dongju. He couldn't believe it. Don't lie to yourself, being so impulsive and emotional. I've lost confidence in building a future with you. Su Rim said such harsh things to ensure she wouldn't change her mind, and she quickly left. Dongju stopped her. He asked if all this was true. Su Rim's yes broke him. As they parted, both their hearts ached. But Su Rim knew that her leaving was the only way Dongju's life could return to normal. Keeping her promise, Su Rim returned to Youngwoo. Youngwoo introduced her to his friends. He started being very affectionate, but kept mentioning Dongju's name to see if Su Rim had forgotten him. Su Rim felt awkward, and his friends seemed strange too. One friend excused himself to go to the bathroom. The moment the friend left, Youngwoo dropped Su Rim's hand. He stated plainly that he brought her back only to torment her, not out of love. The next day at a party, Dongju was picking up some things when a waiter bumped into the table behind him. The table was about to fall on him when a woman jumped in and saved him. Shards of glass fell on her. Their eyes met, and they saw worry and memory in each other's gaze. But the very next moment, that woman's boyfriend arrived and angrily pulled her away. The boyfriend said nothing the whole way. Su Rim couldn't understand, because just a week ago she had promised to break things off with Dongju and return to her boyfriend, Youngwoo. Su Rim told her parents she had forgiven Youngwoo for his past mistakes and was going back to America with him and their child. Her mother was overjoyed. In her view, Youngwoo was tall, handsome, and took care of the child. Being with him was best for Su Rim. Su Rim also thought Youngwoo had changed. She didn't know she was about to be trapped in another scheme. Meanwhile, Dongju found out that Su Rim had decided to go to Youngwoo only to get the evidence to save him. He was heartbroken. He never wanted Su Rim to suffer. He tried to talk her out of it, but Su Rim's mind was made up. To break Dongju's heart, she coldly told him she was leaving for America next month. Without giving Dongju a chance to speak, she quickly left. How could Dongju watch Su Rim drown? He spoke to Youngwoo's ex-wife and discovered Youngwoo was laundering money through Su Rim's bank account. The ex-wife was so bitter about Youngwoo's betrayal that she agreed to meet Dongju. But first, she wanted to give Youngwoo one last chance. She wanted to know if he had ever loved her. Youngwoo gave a very cold answer, refusing to waste time on such pointless talk. His attitude broke the ex-wife's heart. She gave all the evidence to Dongju. In the meantime, Youngwoo grew afraid his money laundering would be discovered. He told his man to close that account, and he immediately went to Su Rim. He told her to go to America quickly and asked for her bank passbook for the visa. He wanted to secretly transfer the money to his own account. Su Rim was a little suspicious, but didn't think too much of it. She promised to bring the passbook tomorrow, but before the passbook could reach Youngwoo, Dongju arrived with the evidence. Everything was exposed. Youngwoo was terrified. Soon, inspectors arrested him on charges of illegal funding. After the first interrogation, his lawyer told him he not only faced jail time, but would also be left penniless. How could Youngwoo accept this? The money he had put in Su Rim's account, he had used that very money to get Su Rim to withdraw funds. The naive Su Rim took out the money and gave it to Youngwoo. But news of Youngwoo's arrest had already spread. Su Rim had just gotten home when her father asked if it was true that Youngwoo was laundering money. Su Rim was stunned. She knew nothing about this. She remembered Youngwoo had just asked her to withdraw money. She began to suspect she was being used. She told Dongju about it, asking if she had been deceived. Dongju was also surprised, but before he could say anything, Youngwoo barged into the office. Furious, he asked Su Rim if she was secretly meeting Dongju behind his back. Dongju couldn't take it anymore. He asked if Youngwoo had used Su Rim's passbook for money laundering. Youngwoo admitted it. This once again showed Su Rim Youngwoo's true, fake face. She used to think he acted out because she left him, but now she understood he was truly a monster. Su Rim mentioned divorce, but how could Youngwoo agree? He threatened Su Rim Rim, saying he would get his revenge by any means necessary. And Soo Rim's greatest weakness was her child. The very next day, Young-woo took his mother-in-law, who was struggling with dementia, and his 5-month-old daughter to the park, but then abandoned them there under the pretext of going to the bathroom. The aunt was terrified. Just then, a woman called her name. The aunt thought it was her friend and went straight off with her, leaving the baby alone on the street. Not far away, that man's secretary was watching the child intently. The baby sensed danger and started crying. A crowd gathered on the sidewalk. The secretary also played the concerned bystander, pretending to worry about the child. Everyone started cursing the mother for being so careless. The secretary's goal was achieved. She immediately called the police. The baby was taken to the nearest police station. Then Young-woo came running to the station. Seeing his daughter, he scooped her into his arms. To any onlooker, Young-woo seemed like a devoted father, and that was his plan all along. In truth, Young-woo's father had given him an ultimatum: remarry his ex-wife and bring back the child, and only then would he get a share of the family fortune. And to gain custody of the child, Young-woo had orchestrated this scheme for the baby to go missing from Soo Rim's care, proving her unfit. Meanwhile, Soo Rim found out her mother and baby were missing. She rushed to the park. When she found her mother, she was wandering the park alone. Soo Rim asked about the baby, but the dementia patient couldn't remember a thing. Her head started hurting from the family's questions. Soo Rim grew suspicious. She knew Young-woo was behind this. She went to Young-woo's house and demanded her child back. But Young-woo berated her for the negligence of leaving a baby on the street. He claimed he had gone to great lengths to find the child and wouldn't just hand her over so easily. No amount of begging from Soo Rim moved him. But as a mother, Soo Rim couldn't bear the separation. She suspected the baby might be with Young-woo's ex-wife. Tracking down the ex-wife, she immediately went to her hotel. The ex-wife hid nothing. She admitted the baby was with her, but for her own gain. She wanted Soo Rim to voluntarily give up her rights to the child. Young-woo also showed up with his lawyer. It seemed he was fully intent on taking the child. The situation was against Soo Rim, which only increased her fear. Soon, a legal notice from Young-woo arrived at Soo Rim's house. Soo Rim needed to consult a lawyer too, but right now, her lawyer was on vacation. Soo Rim panicked. Meanwhile, Dong-ju found something strange. He asked Soo Rim's father why he wasn't home the day the baby went missing. He only remembered going to pick up a parcel from a friend, but when he confirmed with the friend, he found out no parcel had been sent. Now Soo Rim's father grew suspicious too. On another front, Dong-ju found a lawyer for Soo Rim. The situation was this: to gain custody, the first path was to live separately from the mother with dementia. The second path was to form a new, stable family with someone else, which is considered good for the child. After much thought, Soo Rim decided to live apart from her family. She told her father this. Her father knew that this time, because of his wife's actions, Soo Rim was suffering. He didn't want this, but he had to accept it. Dong-ju also wanted to seize this opportunity. He proposed marriage to Soo Rim to lighten her burden. Dong-ju announced this decision in front of his father and stepmother. For his father, this was a huge shock. He took Dong-ju aside to reason with him. How could he accept his son raising another man's child, especially his enemies? But Dong-ju wouldn't change his mind once it was made up. For the first time, he compromised with his father. He would return home if his father accepted Soo Rim. Meanwhile, Soo Rim was putting away clothes when she accidentally broke her daughter's favorite toy. This made her heart even more anxious. It had been 7 days since her ex had taken her child. At this moment, the baby was crying inconsolably, missing her mother. The nanny assured her the baby was looking for her mother. Young-woo said, "What does a baby understand? She's just bored." The baby's crying irritated him. He told the nanny to take the baby away. The baby cried all day. Finally, Young-woo called Soo Rim. Hearing the baby's heart-wrenching sobs over the phone broke Soo Rim's heart. She rushed to her baby immediately. In one hug, the baby began to calm down. In Soo Rim's loving arms, the baby finally fell asleep. She begged Young-woo to let her have the baby so she could care for her. But for Young-woo, the baby was just a means to secure his fortune. How could he let her go so easily? That's when they saw Dong-ju. Young-woo's father asked who he was. Dong-ju said he was going to marry Soo Rim. Soo Rim didn't deny it. Young-woo's father was very surprised. He sent everyone outside and told Soo Rim to give up the child. After all, Dong-ju wasn't the baby's real father. How could he truly love her? But for Soo Rim, the baby was more important than her own happiness. She could give up everything, but she would definitely get her baby back. After that, Soo Rim tried every way to see her child, but Young-woo's ex-wife would intercept and stop her. Soo Rim couldn't understand. The ex-wife would one day be a mother herself. Why couldn't she empathize now? Suddenly, the ex-wife's control snapped. She tearfully confessed that she was infertile, which was why she wanted this baby. Young-woo and I have registered. Legally, I am also also this child's mother now. This statement made Sue Rim's blood boil. She said no matter what, this child had only one mother, herself. Fear of losing her child robbed Sue Rim of sleep. Dong-ju couldn't reach Sue Rim, so he worriedly went to her house. Seeing Dong-ju, Sue Rim looked as if she had found a reason to live. Now there was only one way to save her child. Marry Dong-ju and create a stable family. Will you marry me? Dong-ju's long wait was finally over. He couldn't hold back tears of happiness. He vowed to keep Sue Rim happy and protect her child. Dong-ju was investigating the day the baby went missing. He discovered that the person who had seen the baby on the street and called the police was Young-woo's secretary. He told Sue Rim this. Sue Rim also said her mother had mentioned going off with someone, but couldn't remember who. Sue Rim began to suspect that person was Young-woo himself. Young-woo also sensed their suspicion. He started preparing a passport for the baby, planning to flee the country with her. The ex-wife insisted they should take the child legally to get custody. If she and Young-woo appeared to be a happy couple, the court would grant them the child. The ex-wife told Young-woo that if he devoted himself fully to her from now on, she would forgive his past. Young-woo agreed. The three of them, Young-woo, the ex-wife, and the baby, went to a photo studio to take a happy family portrait. In the photo, they looked like the perfect family. Seeing the photo, Young-woo smiled. The ex-wife saw him smile for the first time in years. At that moment, Sue Rim and Dong-ju also arrived at the same restaurant. All four came face to face. The atmosphere was awkward. To needle Sue Rim, the ex-wife gifted her the happy family photo they had taken. Seeing the depicted scene in the photo, Sue Rim's body trembled. After Young-woo left, she tried to tear the photo up in anger. But seeing her baby's face in the picture, her heart wouldn't let her. She vowed to get her baby back as soon as possible. The next day, while changing her baby's diaper, Sue Rim saw a red color on it. Terrified, she picked up the baby, and her hands were soon covered in blood. Hearing the baby's piercing cries, Sue Rim's mind stopped working. At this moment, she had only one support, Dong-ju. Dong-ju answered the phone and immediately rushed her to the hospital. After the doctor's initial check, it seemed there might be a problem with the baby's liver. The baby needed emergency admission. Hearing this, Sue Rim's heart turned cold. She sat helplessly in the corridor, and this scene was also witnessed by her rival, Maya. She sensed something was wrong. She followed Sue Rim and reached the baby's ward. That's when she found out the baby had been admitted. Seeing the expressions on their faces, Maya grew suspicious. She immediately informed Sue Rim's ex, Young-woo. If it were a minor fever, they wouldn't have been admitted, and the baby's illness could be the perfect opportunity for them to regain custody. At the hospital, after examining the baby, the doctor said the baby had acute liver failure with very low chances of recovery. Sue Rim lost hope. She couldn't even think about what would happen if something happened to her baby. Soon, ex-husband Young-woo arrived at the hospital. He asked Sue Rim how her care could have led to the baby contracting such a dangerous illness. Sue Rim was blaming herself too. And even in this state, Young-woo talked about taking the baby away, saying Sue Rim couldn't provide proper care. Sue Rim panicked. At this stage, the baby needed a completely calm environment for treatment. But Young-woo's only intent was to take the baby. He told Sue Rim to be ready and left. The doctor said the baby's condition was worsening. There was no option but a liver transplant. Sue Rim had never imagined her baby could get so sick. As a mother, she didn't hesitate for a second to offer her own liver. But fate wasn't on their side. Sue Rim's tissue didn't match the baby's. They needed to find a matching donor. Young-woo was also inquiring about hospitals in America to transfer the baby. But when he arrived at the hospital, the baby's condition worsened again and she was taken into emergency care. Even Young-woo panicked. He talked to the doctor about a transfer, but the doctor said the baby's condition wasn't stable enough to withstand a long flight. Getting on a plane would be a death sentence. So I'm just supposed to watch? The baby is like this. We have to think of something. Young-woo was very distressed. The doctor told him about the transplant surgery, and Young-woo's blood group matched the baby's, so the chances of a successful match were high. But Young-woo hesitated. Even though he was the father, he felt no bond with the child. Maya was against Young-woo undergoing surgery. She said they should just find a donor. In reality, Young-woo had only agreed to preliminary tests. The test results came. The match was perfect, but Young-woo had low blood pressure and a risk of shock, making the surgery risky. This made Young-woo even more hesitant. Sue Rim also learned about Young-woo's condition from the doctor. No matter how anxious she was, she couldn't be selfish and didn't want Young-woo to risk his life. Sue Rim could only wait for Young-woo's decision. To lighten Sue Rim's burden, Dong-ju secretly met Young-woo and begged him to undergo the surgery for the baby's sake. Dong-ju swallowed his pride and knelt before Young-woo. Even after all this, Young-woo didn't say yes. On his father's orders, Young-woo began preparing to return to America. But just as he reached the airport, he got news that the baby was having trouble breathing breathing, and emergency surgery was crucial. Young-woo couldn't go through with it. He returned to the hospital. Soo-rim felt like she had found a lifeline. Helplessly, she begged Young-woo to save the baby's life, whatever it took. Young-woo agreed, but on one condition. After the surgery was over, Soo-rim had to give him custody of the child. Soo-rim should have said yes immediately, but this time, she hesitated. She was a mother. How could she hand over her own child to someone else? But seeing her daughter writhing in pain, Soo-rim's heart broke. She finally made a decision. Soo-rim agreed to Young-woo's terms. Finally, the day of the surgery arrived. Both were taken into the operating room. Before losing consciousness, Young-woo looked toward his daughter. In that moment, he felt for the first time in his heart that he was this child's father. Outside the operating room, Soo-rim and her whole family waited anxiously. But the surgery was so complicated that it took much longer than estimated, and the doctor didn't come out. Everyone's worry grew. Had something gone wrong? Then the doctor finally emerged. Fortune was on their side. The surgery was successful. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Soo-rim hadn't told her parents she had surrendered custody. Seeing their happy faces, she couldn't bring herself to tell the truth. She was both happy and sad now, unsure how she would live without her daughter. Meanwhile, Young-woo was taking a long time to wake up. The doctors couldn't find any specific reason and asked the family to be patient. Young-woo's father grew more worried. There was already a risk of low blood pressure and shock. If something happened because of the surgery, he wouldn't let anyone off the hook. The old man came to the baby's ward and told them Young-woo still hadn't woken up. Hearing this surprised Soo-rim, and the old man's goal was to threaten Soo-rim. His son had made such a big sacrifice, and now he expected Soo-rim to keep her promise and let the child go. Soo-rim's parents learned about the agreement for the first time. They asked Soo-rim in shock. Soo-rim couldn't speak. They couldn't accept this deal, but for Soo-rim, it had been the only way to save her child. A week passed, and the baby began to recover, but Young-woo's health kept deteriorating. One day, a doctor rushed toward Young-woo's ward. Soo-rim had a bad feeling. Due to prolonged unconsciousness, Young-woo had stopped breathing. Only after the doctor's emergency efforts did his breathing return, and only for a little while. Seeing this made Soo-rim feel even more guilty, and Young-woo's ex-wife directed all her anger at Soo-rim. She said if Soo-rim hadn't called that day, they would have reached America, and Young-woo wouldn't have had to suffer like this. Soo-rim had no right to reply. At night, Soo-rim quietly went to Young-woo's ward. In that moment, she let go of all her resentment toward him and sincerely acknowledged that he was also the child's father. She prayed he would wake up soon. Young-woo didn't wake up, but he had heard Soo-rim's words. A single tear escaped his eye. In that moment, their relationship improved slightly. Young-woo's ex-wife saw Soo-rim there and angrily tried to chase her away. But right at that moment, Young-woo's eyes opened. Years ago, when Dong-ju's stepmother wasn't his stepmother yet, she had killed his real mother, her friend, by pulling out her oxygen supply tube. Because only with her friend's death would she get the chance to marry her husband, the chairman. Her friend's breathing rapidly stopped. All of this was seen by a nurse and the chairman's young son, little Dong-ju. You killed my mom. I saw it. I saw everything. But because he was just a child, his father didn't believe him. And that nurse also disappeared. The woman succeeded in marrying into the wealthy family and lived as the chairman's wife for 10 years. But today, that very nurse showed up at the house. The woman panicked. The nurse had come for money, to keep her quiet. Afraid someone might see, the woman tried to shoo the nurse away. Right then, Dong-ju came home and saw the two arguing. After so many years, Dong-ju didn't remember the nurse's face. He looked at her with suspicion. The woman broke into a cold sweat. Helpless, she agreed to the nurse's demand. The nurse left. When Dong-ju came outside, the nurse was already gone. The woman made an excuse, saying it was just a trick of the light, that it was just her friend. Dong-ju had no proof. He could do nothing. The woman quickly decided to pay off the nurse to shut her up. The nurse saw the packet, her eyes gleaming. She promised she wouldn't come back. But when she opened the packet, inside were only 5 million Korean won. Was this charity? The nurse erupted in anger. She threatened that she wanted 50 million Korean won, or she would tell everyone the hidden truth. The woman was no pushover either. She immediately called the police and filed a complaint about a life threat. When she met the nurse again, she secretly recorded the blackmail attempt. This made the nurse even angrier. She thought, forget the money, she'd go straight to Dong-ju. She would tell him the truth so he could topple the woman from the chairman's wife position. The nurse met Dong-ju and told him everything. Dong-ju was stunned. He had finally found a witness. He immediately tried to go to his father and show him the woman's true face. But the chairman still didn't believe him. Dong-ju was disappointed in his father. He didn't know there was another reason for his mother's death. Back then, his mother was so distressed by her illness that she had asked his father for a mercy killing. His father had refused, but soon after, his mother died. The chairman had finally understood what must have happened, and Dong-ju, who knew nothing, had always hated that woman. The chairman decided the truth should come out. In front of the woman and Dong-ju, he took out a letter left behind by his late wife. Dong-ju read his mother's last written lines, and only then did he understand her pain and despair. The chairman told Dong-ju that his wife had tried to kill herself daily back then. The woman wasn't entirely unnecessary either. She revealed that on that day, the mother had removed her own oxygen mask. The woman had been stunned, and by the time she tried to stop it, it was too late. For Dong-ju, digesting this truth was difficult, but still, for the first time, he ate a meal at the same dining table with that woman. Meanwhile, after Young-woo recovered, he started rushing to take the baby away, but his wife wanted to spend couple time with him. She said they would hire a nanny for the baby. This made Young-woo a little doubtful. He began to wonder if taking the baby from Soo-rim was right. When the time came for Soo-rim and the baby to be separated, Soo-rim was holding on, unable to let the baby go. Then, Young-woo handed the baby back to Soo-rim. He had made up his mind. The child would only be happy with Soo-rim. 1 month later, Dong-ju and Soo-rim finally got married. Young-woo attended the wedding, bringing his blessings. An unmarried mother had finally found her happiness, and her daughter would grow up healthy, surrounded by everyone's love and care.